And welcome to tutorial 10, which I believe should be the last tutorial in the mitered box series. In this tutorial we're going to have you start drawing the plans that you'll need to make your box, which sounds like a big thing, but you'll find out shortly that Fusion does a lot of the heavy lifting for you. Now, here's our box that we've got so far. I still have a broken hinge on one side. See the last tutorial to find out why. The one hinge works, the other one's just sort of just sitting there. That's fine for now. So we're going to close the box like that, and we'll start from here. So notice the view cube for a second before we leave and how it's got these labels, right? The top, the front, the right hand side. We're going to draw our plans to make the box in something called orthographic view. An orthographic view has you looking at your object, whatever it is you're going to make, from these various sides, the front, the right, the top. So we're going to do that right now. How we get going with that is we go up here to it's top level here, right click and create drawing. So create a drawing. The first thing that's going to pop up over here somewhere, hopefully it's on my screen. There it is, coming. Oh, thinking usually doesn't take this long. There we go. Ignore most of this, except we're going to go down here to ASME. We have two standards for drawing, and one is basically, think of this as imperial and this one as metric ISO. So we need to be on ASME because it gives us the right size paper. Notice these inches, and if you know photocopy paper is 8.5 by 11 in portrait mode or 11 by 8.5 in landscape mode. So if I go like this to ISO, you'll see everything down here changes to metric paper. That doesn't work with our photocopiers the way it's set up, and you'll have problems, or our printer, sorry. You'll have problems printing your drawings if you don't stick to ASME, so do that. Now pick the right size paper for our printer, which is 11 by 8.5 landscape mode, so click that and push OK. As soon as you do this, it takes a moment. You gotta have a little bit of patience, and we move to a whole new mode. 1, 2, 3, and Shazam. There we are. It sets up a piece of paper and starts trying to place the first thing here. I'm going to place this, and then I'll go back and talk about the environment here in a second. So the first thing it does is it automatically thinks that you want to place one of the views of what you're going to be drawing. So that's what it says, place base view. And this is supposed to be, if you look up here, the front view of my box. So I'm just going to place that right there. And now we have to choose scale. Scale will depend on the size of paper that I can draw on. So everything we draw is to scale. So right now our scale is 1 to 8, which means that 1 unit on the drawing, if I were to measure an inch on the drawing, converts to 8 units in real life. So 1 unit measured on the drawing would be 8 inches in real life. I think we can go a little bigger. Let's try 1 to 4. Seems like we could still go a bit bigger, so I'm going over to scale here and I'm picking, let's go, well, 1 to 2 might be a bit. Nope, I think 1 to 2 can work. So 1 unit on my drawing will be 2 units in real life. So basically my drawing is half size. Okay, and we'll push OK for the moment. There we are. Now, over here, I can turn aspects of what I've drawn off and on. So in my browser tree, I can also set things up to do with how it's displayed. In the document settings here and things like that, I can change the units, and we'll get to that later. But right now, I'm just going to draw, I'm going to stick to the lid, I guess. Let's do lid. So I'm going to turn off bottom, and I'm only going to look at the lid. And I can click on it, and I can grab this little gray box, and I can move it around a little bit if I want. Okay, once I have, that was a bit much. There we go. Once I have my lid, the way I like it, I am now going to draw my first view. This is my front view, remember, and if I forget, I can always double click on it and bring this dialog back up, and I can see it's front view, close. And now what I'm going to do is project some views from there. So projecting, I click the view that I want to project, and I go up. And right now I already see there's a problem. Sort of. I'll show you in a second. And there, and there. Well, it looks to me, I'm going to hit enter. So, I didn't really explain what I was doing there. Every time I went up, it projected the next view, which would be the top. If I look at it from the front and I roll it, this is top view. And I clicked and accepted it. and this one over here was right-hand side view, and this one up here is just a 3D view. And every time I moved across, it automatically generated it, and I clicked it and accepted it. And now I see a problem. The problem is it doesn't fit on the page, but the problem also is I'm only supposed to draw one part of the box at a time. And this is where I'm going to do this. I'm going to call this, let's call this, all these automatic fill-ins, sorry, woodwork 10, and then we're going to say this is the mitered box, and the part that I'm trying to draw is the lid front/back, because the front and the back pieces of the lid are the same. So I'll push enter. So you just double click and you'll go into this dialog box like I did. I double clicked it. Some things are filled in automatically from your account. You can edit those too if you want. Like for instance, here you go. There we go, that's better. And there's the scale automatic, and now I just put finish properties and I'm back. So I'm trying to draw the front back, but I've got all these parts. I've got all these, like I've got the top for the lid, everything. So now I'm going to expand lid, and I'm going to turn off all of the parts I don't want. So I only want to draw the front, because the front and the back are the same. There's no difference. So I'm just going to draw the front. Now it's getting much simpler. Now I can grab this and bring this down by holding the little gray box there. And now it's starting to take shape, my drawing. Okay, so this, my 3D view up here. Oops. There we go, put that there for the moment. I'm going to change that in a second anyway. So this is this piece that we need to make, and it's looked at from the front, which would be this view. It's looked at from the top, which would be this view, and the right-hand side, which even though it's mitered, if you look at it straight on, it's going to look like a rectangle. If you look at this face on the side straight on, it would look like a rectangle, believe it or not. So this seems a bit big and out of proportion to the rest. I know it's the right scale, but I think it would look better if we do a few things. So double click on this 3D view. And this 3D view I'm going to make shaded, and I'm actually going to make it a little smaller. Because it can be separate. These ones here, they work as a team. I'm just going to push close on those and accept. So there we go. So now this is, all I have this 3D view for is to give a quick look at what this part is, so your mind's eye has an idea what it's looking at. So these ones here, if I change the scale of this one, so suddenly I changed it to 1:4 and push close. Oh, sorry, do that one more time. 1:4, let's go 1:1. They all change. I don't know where the other one went. There it is there. But they all change because they're all linked. The 3D view is independent. So we'll take this back to 1:2 that we thought would work and push close. Oh, the other thing we want, it'll matter later, is not just visible edges, but visible edges and hidden lines is usually what we want. So there we are. Oh, and see what happened? As soon as I put hidden edges, this little dashed line appears, because this little edge is behind of the miter. This little edge is behind, and it's supposed to be shown. So this gives you the indication that there's a miter back there. Okay, so that's bringing in our first part, and now it's great, but how big is it? That's the whole point to the plan, is to show sizes. So this is where we get to do things called dimension. So under dimension, there's a bunch of different choices for dimensioning things. Like eventually we'll have to dimension those holes, and we can put diameters in and things like that. But right now we're going to stick to this one. It's the simplest one. It's horizontal or vertical. If you hover over them, it tells you what they are. Click that, linear dimension, and we're going to, what kind of sizes do I need to make this thing? Well, obviously I need to know how long it is. So I'm going to put that up here. All right, there. And there we go. We have to know how thick it is. Whoever's making this would want to know that. We have to know how tall it is. What else do we need to know? Rules on dimensioning. You're not supposed to repeat dimensions. So if I show the thickness here of the board, and this is just another view where I could see the thickness, like from here to here, that's the same thickness. I'll Control Z because hit escape, delete that. that would be a repeat, and that would just make things confusing. We try to keep things as simple as possible. So when you don't duplicate measurements, you only put them once on the drawing. So I wouldn't put another length down on this piece. I already have it on that piece. So I think all I need now is an angle. So I'm starting to think, yeah, I'm just going to put an angle. So up here somewhere, I must be able to dimension an angle somewhere. Angular dimension measures the angle. So now I just pick what I want to measure the angle between. So there and there works, except it doesn't look good. How about that? That looks a little better. So let's try that. 45. If I come out here, that's probably better, right? You try not to have your dimensions cross. And then I have another one over here, but it's unnecessary to put it. I could just go in here and edit this and then go 2x to indicate to whoever's looking at it, it's 45 degrees twice, 2 times, one over there and one over there. Yes, you could put another 45 over here, but you'd also then have to move this dimension and probably put it on this part down here because they'd be overlapping each other. But this should be enough. 45 degrees, and notice it's putting in the numbers. I'm just telling it where I'd like them. After the fact, if you wanted to move where this is, you could drag it down or you could drag it up, just like that, move it around. The last thing is, maybe I don't know where 0.25 is on my ruler. Well, I can go up into Document Settings. I can change the way things are displayed here. So my dimension format is decimal. Maybe if I go to the end here, and change it to fraction, and then also notice it's right now 1/4 inch increments. Well, that's pretty broad. Maybe I'll go 1/16 inch increments as my scale and push OK. Now you see these change to 1 1/4 and 3/8, and fractions are a little better to work with when they're displayed that way when you're looking at a ruler. So that's a better way to go. Okay, last thing I do is I'm going to position it on the page a little nicer. I'm just going to move this over a bit and try and get a little more centered. This can move this way, just for that. Okay, collapse all these menus. This is a pretty long video, but there we go. Nothing I can do about that. And there's my first drawing. Notice this. This is my box up here in the tab. There it is. And over here is my untitled drawing. I need to save this. So I'm going to hit save. And I'm going to say, these are the box drawings. They're in the same location. I'm going to push save and see what happens here. Just push OK. And now when I go to my data panel, I'm starting to create something called the box2 drawings that go with the box. So it's its own file. It's a DWG file. And yeah, so it's a separate drawing. Now, if I change my box, I can have the drawings automatically update because they are linked to each other. So that's kind of cool. Go back and do your modeling. Oh, I suddenly want to do something different with the box. I don't have to redraw the plans. I just update the plans. And fantastic. I can move forward from there. Last thing is, you have to draw each piece of your box and have a plan to make each piece. I mean, if they're identical pieces, like the front and the back are identical, then I only need one drawing for the front and back. And I will only need one drawing for the right and left side. But I need a drawing for each unique piece. So what I could do is I go down here and I start another drawing right there. So here's another drawing. And I just rename this one to lid left / right side. There we go, push enter. Everything else is pretty much the same. Finished editing that. Then I go up here and I get to place my first, see this is, you get to place your first view. So we're going to go to our base view here. We're going to bring it in. Now we're going to look at the right side. That's the right side apparently. I mean, it's a box. It looks pretty similar on all sides right now. And I'm just going to pick the same scale as I did last time, which is 1:2. Seems a little big at the moment. We know how to fix that in a second. Push OK. I'm going to head up to down here. I'm going to shut the bottom off. I'm only looking at lid. I'm going to expand lid. And then once I expand lid, I'm going to pick, I don't know, the right side here as my example. And so the right side right here has a little bit of a chamfer out of it because remember, we chamfered it. So that's something we have to consider. Well, we'll talk about that later. We might put a note there indicating that that will be added later because we can't really remove the chamfer. It is there. So what we see are these, we have to project the next part. So we'll project from this view up. We'll project to the right. We could also project a 3D view. Hit enter to stop projecting views. And this 3D view, we'll change it to the shaded, like that. We'll change it to a 1:4, so it's a little smaller. See, it's coming together a little quicker this time. And then you can go ahead and dimension this up the way it's supposed to be. If you need to add a note, you can add text right here. And you can also add leaders, but we'll put some text on here like this. And you can say chamfer to the machine end. Something like that. So, or nothing. Anyway, so the idea is you could just dimension this up as is. It's probably fine for our purposes, just to dimension this up. Anyway, that's how you make another drawing. You'll have a series of drawings. You'll just add and you'll add and you'll add because you'll need one for your top and your inset bottom, and you'll need one for your bottom, front, back, right, left. And so there's a couple drawings to make, but you can see they're not that hard to make. Just place a base view, project from that, and dimension them up. The biggest thing is to make sure you have all the dimensions. Oh, that was a bit longer, but good luck. Let's make all these drawings, and then once you have the drawings approved, it's time to start making this box. All for now.